Welcome to the Big Brain Time Debate Podcast. So, Jared and Kyle are two political boys, as you may have noticed from previous. Yeah, a little bit. So I've tried to wrangle that on previous episodes. You may have heard me kind of go, "Psst, no," when one of them, calls Sarah Palin an idiot or whatever.
Well, she is.
So I try to keep this podcast fun and non-political, but Jared is leaving us. Not right now, but at the end of the semester. So I decided
I'm gonna miss him so much.
I'm just gonna let him go full political and sit back and watch the fireworks. So
door shut, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Have at it, gentlemen. Should the U.S. be consumed? Should the U.S. be subsumed into Canada? Oh gosh.
Seth, you okay?
Yeah, I just knocked over a chair. I'm good.
Okay, well, Seth.
I was just trying to sit in it.
While Seth is figuring out his chair,
I'm very afraid. Very
Yes.
afraid.
So, should we clarify what subsumed mean? Because I actually
We
had to look
probably
it
should.
up. Subsumed basically means absorbed. So, should the United States become a part? Should Canada buy the basically buy the United States, and we all become one big Canada?
Yes, one big happy Canada.
Happy Canada. And I say that yes. And one thing I will say my argument behind that is that I believe that if you had if you had a liberal country like Canada and a more conservative country like the United States come together, you could find some center ground there. And I think that would provide for a stable conservative liberal mixed government. I also happen to believe that the way Canada runs healthcare and the way that they run education is better than the U.S. on corporate for-profit policies, which oftentimes exploit people for profit. So that is my opinion.
So, quick question. I know how their healthcare works, but
yes.
how does their education work again? I really don't.
They have subsidized, I believe, tuition-free, or if not tuition-free, very, very heavily subsidized college.
Okay.
So you're not compared to the United States, where you're paying $40,000 a year,
you're paying it yourself. The government helps you.
The government helps here. I'll even look up.
Okay. I was just checking because I wasn't sure. I know how their healthcare works, but
yeah, I'm just gonna make sure that because I know that it's not as expensive as it is in America. It's affordable.
So, where do I start here? So many places to start. Well, should the U.S. be subsumed into Canada? I'm going to say no.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's a fantasy revenge for the War of 1812 or anything. I'll say just America is extremely independent, and I like to buy into that independence because I don't think America itself would like to become part of Canada, and I really don't want to become part of Canada because I like how our government is right now, opposed to Canada. Not saying that Canada is bad. Canada is a really nice country and everything, but I think just our political system. They have a parliament, right?
I think so.
Yeah,
Isn't it
it's like a parliamentary democracy.
Something like it's kind of like Britain.
Yeah,
it's kind of like set up like Britain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're a free country.
So. Oh yeah, of course, but yeah, don't they still have the Queen as their patron or something?
No, they have a prime minister.
I'm not sure how official the Queen is, but she's still a presence. I remember going to the border crossing, and in that office they have a framed photo of the Queen on the wall.
But I think it's like the Queen of England, where they don't really hold authority. They're just kind of they can.
Well, it is the Queen of England.
They can't. They do have authority, but it's usually the authority of like their president would be like Justin Trudeau, prime minister is kind of the one who makes the big decisions there.
Right.
Also, for clarity, I did look up average cost of tuition in Canada, and it's about the most expensive. I think the most expensive I found is about $7,800 per year, which is still cheaper than community college here, and that's the most expensive tuition of public colleges in Canada.
Right. Okay.
So
Okay.
And the government system is a federal parliamentary system under a constitutional monarchy. The legislative power in Canada is divided into two: the Parliament of the provincial government and the Parliament of the federal government.
Interesting. Okay, well, you learn something new every day. But
Yeah.
I still think our system is better, and I don't really like. Jared made the argument for the healthcare and education. I don't like how the government controls that. That's just me personally, because I don't like the government having its hand in my healthcare that I pay for. And probably my biggest thing is I pay for if it's free healthcare, right? In Canada, it's free, right? It's supposed to be free.
Should ideally, yes.
Ideally free. Well, I'm still paying for it in a way through my taxes, but I'm also paying it for the 50 people that live on my street. I'm also paying it kind of for them through my taxes.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't like the idea of I'm trying to just pay for my own healthcare, but I'm paying for everyone else in the country's healthcare as well. I don't like that idea. I guess it would be kind of the same with this the educational system, but I think we already kind of do that here at the public school system anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But college, I don't like that idea because I'm working on only trying to pay myself through college, and when I'm older, I'll want to pay help pay for my kids, who knows how many, to get into college. And I don't like the idea of having my hard-earned money go to neighbor Bob, who can't pay for his kid to go to college. I will end up paying for him to go to college as well as my own kids. I don't like that just because I think it takes away a lot of the money that a person will individually make to only pay for like what they need, not just pay for everybody else. And that's my first major point, and then I guess the other major point is I like being independent. I don't like I like my country as it is. I don't want to go to Canada.
Yeah.
I have hockey here. I'm okay.
Now, here's what I will say about your points on education and healthcare, which are the reasonable points. Now I understand that, but what I have come to in terms of first, I'll address healthcare first. So in regards to healthcare, it has become so expensive that nobody almost you would have to be very, very rich in order to have to pay for medicals without insurance. I've been lucky enough to have, my parents who are teachers and they've got good insurance, right?
Right.
But not every job, even good jobs, provide insurance. And if you do not have insurance, then you have to foot bills for ridiculous amounts of money for things like surgeries and all that stuff. And I've come to the conclusion that if nobody can pay for it on their own without the help of insurance, why don't we just kind of put it all together so that we can pay for it?
Right.
And that is what I've come to with healthcare. And for education, countries that do have or tuition-free or almost tuition-free education tend to have better workforces, right? So there are people who might not be able to afford to go to college or even community college, but they're very brilliant but they just can't afford to go to college. And for all we know, those people, if they go to college and they get a good education, they might be able to do very good things for society. They just can't afford to go to college. And it has almost become this thing where very rich people are the only ones who can go to college without debt. And they're also, I bring up the healthcare argument again too, is where if nobody can afford it without going into debt, why don't we try to fix it? Why don't we try to fix it in some way as to where people can go to college if they need to, or go to trade school if they need to, or they want to, so that they can develop an education and put better society. Now, I understand that not everyone does go to college, and I understand that everyone goes to trade school. But as I said before, you're allowing people to get a higher education and training so that they can help better society. It's kind of a return on investment type of thing. We're paying more taxes, but more educated people are going to be in the society to be able to help each other. I mean, that's why up until K through high school at least, they have free public schools or almost free public schools, so that people can be educated so we have a better society. there are plenty of people out there who could get fantastic jobs, but they just can't get the training. They'd be really good at it, and they do a lot of good for society, but they just cannot afford to go to college, and that's where that argument comes from for me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, like, healthcare is extremely expensive, but I guess my suggestion, instead of letting just the government do it, I'd say, the government. But I think the government should obviously help in like creating an atmosphere where like, hey, different insurance companies can like health insurance companies can like say, hey, we'll give you better rates than the other ones. I think the government should help create an environment where like you can have several companies that are trying to compete for your want, and then therefore like you can go for the option that's best for you regarding money, and not just one. Oh, okay, just pay for everyone's at once.
Yeah.
And that's just my big thing. But
so like capital like
it would be like a capitalist.
They're gonna do whatever they can to get. Ideally, so I think is your logic that they are actively trying to get people to join their to sign up for their.
It's almost like I almost see like. I guess this is just going to be an example. Mm-hmm. Like you're playing Monopoly.
Yeah.
And let's pretend that the government is one person who's bought up all the major health, like every major health thing on the board, and you have to only pay them. And everybody else has to pay them. But like if it's just there's 4 people playing Monopoly and they each have an insurance company, or even like say that there's 7 people playing Monopoly, they each have an insurance company. You can choose between them. You don't have to go through the one major monopoly that's asking for everyone. Is the only entity you can go through. You can choose the one that's best for you, and not just the one.
Yeah. Now, I understand that logic, but unfortunately, with the idea, and I thought it through, thinking like capitalist run healthcare, it should work better. I mean, in the idea that if a company's goals are trying to get as many people to join as possible, I mean, because the goal is to make money. Unfortunately, that's not really how it's worked. I mean, I have it right here. In 2018, 27.5 million people were uninsured in the United States. And the problem, and then you have to look at motives too. When you have the motives of those companies, it's not really to insure people, it's just to make as much money as possible. And when companies are trying to make as much money as possible, running health insurance, then you get the issue of then they can deny people. And that's where the government has had to step in and say, look, you can't deny people because of pre-existing conditions. And so that's where the whole capitalist run healthcare system just does not work, is because then the goal is not to help people get insured. The goal is to have people is to make the company more money. And that's where I look at the motives of the government. Is most of the government is just to insure as many people as this is basically insure everyone.
Just heads up, you guys have 2 minutes left.
Okay.
Just to ensure that everyone is
yeah. I definitely understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I hope you understand what I'm saying as well.
I do.
Yep. So, we're disagreeing on that point. Seth, quick. I want to make a second point in this argument. I know we have 2 minutes left. You know if Canada has anything like a Second Amendment law?
I doubt it.
Because I don't think the largest unofficial army in the world would like being subsumed in a place where they have to give up their guns.
The mass shootings are practically non-existent in every other civilized country, in every other first world country, Finland, Sweden, Germany, Norway, Canada, practically non-existent.
Yeah, but still.
And Australia.
I've heard a lot of bad things about Australia.
As soon as they had a big mass shooting, they banned all the guns, confiscated all the guns.
It still doesn't stop.
And there have not been a mass shooting since.
Yeah, it still doesn't stop people from doing crime with guns anyway. People getting guns illegally.
But there's no mass shootings. If it gets rid of mass shootings, I'd say it's a step forward. You're never going to get rid of all crime, but you're going to get rid of mass shootings.
I still think that, mass shootings will happen, but there's people who can stop mass shootings before they happen to if they're armed. That's me.
Although, as I've said, mass shootings are practically non-existent in countries where guns are just not as held dearly as they are in the U.S.
All right. We're right at the end.
I don't know if this turned into an argument of Canada against the U.S. or just something else, but hey, we did it.